What happens when the leader of Taiwan's main opposition party travels to China just weeks before a planned meeting between United States President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping, at a time when Washington has approved $11 billion in arms sales to Taiwan and is pushing for even more? This episode examines how Cheng Li-wun's upcoming visit could reshape political signaling across the Taiwan Strait, influence internal debates in Taipei, and interact with broader strategic competition without yet revealing whether it reduces tensions or intensifies them. If this situation escalates, the implications extend beyond a single political visit. Cross-strait relations sit at the center of regional security in East Asia, where Taiwan's political alignment directly affects military planning, trade stability, and alliance credibility. A successful engagement could strengthen arguments for dialogue and reduce immediate pressure, while a failed or politicized visit could deepen mistrust, accelerate military preparations, and reinforce external involvement. The outcome will influence not only Taiwan's domestic politics, but also how major powers interpret stability and deterrence in the region. The current dynamics are rooted in a long historical trajectory. Since 1949, when the Chinese Civil War ended with the Kuomintang government retreating to Taiwan, and the People's Republic of China established on the mainland, both sides have maintained competing claims. Over time, Taiwan evolved into a democratic system, while Beijing maintained its position that Taiwan is part of its territory. Formal high-level communication has fluctuated, with a notable break in 2016, when Tsai Ing-wen of the Democratic Progressive Party took office, and did not endorse Beijing's framework for cross-strait relations. Since then, official contact has largely been suspended, while informal and party-level exchanges have continued. Within Taiwan, political divisions shape how China policy is approached. The Kuomintang, or KMT, has traditionally supported closer economic and political engagement with Beijing, arguing that stability reduces risk. The Democratic Progressive Party, by contrast, emphasizes sovereignty and stronger ties with partners such as the United States. These differences have become more pronounced as China has increased military activity near Taiwan, including near-daily deployments of aircraft and naval vessels, and periodic large-scale exercises designed to signal capability and resolve. Cheng Li-wun's rise within the KMT adds another layer to this context. After assuming leadership of the party in October, she received public acknowledgement from Xi Jinping, an unusual gesture that signaled Beijing's interest in her leadership. Now, as the first sitting KMT chairperson in nearly a decade to travel to China, following Hung Xiuqu's visit in 2016, Cheng is positioning the trip as an effort to maintain peace and stability across the strait. At the same time, critics within Taiwan, including some inside her own party, argue that her approach risks aligning too closely with Beijing's preferences. China's strategic calculus appears to involve multiple objectives. By engaging directly with Cheng, Beijing can reinforce ties with a political actor that supports dialogue, while also signaling that alternative pathways to stability exist outside of military deterrence. Analysts in Taiwan suggest that such engagement could strengthen Cheng's standing within the KMT at a time when she faces internal disagreements over defense policy. There is also a view among officials in Taipei that Beijing's broader aim includes limiting Taiwan's defense cooperation with external partners, particularly the United States. The United States remains a central actor in this equation. Washington has long followed a policy of strategic ambiguity regarding Taiwan's defense, but it continues to serve as Taipei's largest arms supplier. In December, the United States approved approximately $11 billion in arms sales to Taiwan. With additional packages under consideration, these sales are intended to enhance deterrence capabilities, but they are strongly opposed by Beijing, which views them as interference in what it considers a domestic matter. Inside Taiwan, the debate over defense spending illustrates the complexity of the moment. The current government has proposed a defense plan valued at about 1.25 trillion, equivalent to roughly 39 billion, aimed at strengthening military readiness. Cheng Li-wun has criticized the scale of this proposal, while supporting an alternative KMT plan, allocating $380 billion for U.S. weapons, with the option for future increases. This internal divergence reflects broader questions about how to balance deterrence with engagement, and how to allocate resources in a way that aligns with both security needs and political priorities. Public opinion in Taiwan remains divided. Some citizens view engagement with China as a practical step toward reducing tensions, while others are skeptical of negotiations with the Chinese Communist Party, fearing that such interactions could undermine Taiwan's position. These mixed views create a complex domestic environment in which political leaders must navigate both external pressures and internal expectations. One possible scenario involves Cheng's visit, leading to a visible easing of tensions. If meetings with Xi Jinping result in renewed communication channels or confidence-building measures, this could strengthen arguments within Taiwan that dialogue can coexist with deterrence. It might also complicate the case for expanding U.S. arms sales, as proponents of engagement could argue that reduced tensions lower the immediate need for additional military expenditure. A second scenario involves the visit backfiring politically or strategically. If the engagement is perceived within Taiwan as overly accommodating to Beijing, it could weaken Cheng's position domestically and reinforce support for policies that prioritize defense cooperation with the United States. In this case, rather than reducing tensions, the visit could contribute to further polarization, both within Taiwan and across the strait, while encouraging continued military signaling by China. The broader geopolitical consequences depend on how these scenarios unfold. For the region, the interaction between political dialogue and military deterrence remains a central tension. If engagement gains traction, it could introduce a more flexible framework for managing disputes, potentially lowering the risk of miscalculation. If it fails, the region may continue along a path of incremental escalation, where military activity and political signaling reinforce each other without clear mechanisms for de-escalation. At the global level, the situation highlights how regional dynamics intersect with major power competition. The timing of Cheng's visit, ahead of a potential meeting between Donald Trump and Xi Jinping, underscores how actions at the party and sub-state level can influence broader diplomatic narratives. It also reflects the extent to which Taiwan's status remains a focal point in the relationship between the United States and China, shaping decisions on trade, security, and strategic positioning. As developments continue, the key variables to watch include the substance of any meetings between Cheng Li-wun and Xi Jinping, the response from Taiwan's political institutions, and signals from Washington regarding future arms sales. These factors will provide insight into whether this episode represents a temporary adjustment in political signaling or a more durable shift in how cross-strait relations are managed under evolving global conditions.